The other question that you often hear is, well, where do you get your protein? And I think we've really been conditioned to think that we need to get protein from meat or chicken or fish or even beans, for example. And what I've been learning in doing this research is that if you cook food, you need twice as much protein, about 1 gram of protein for every kilogram of body weight. And when you cook protein, it causes the amino acids to coagulate. They're not as assimilatable. Some of them are even deactivated, like methionine is deactivated. So when you eat proteins raw, you need about half as much. So it goes from like needing 70 grams a day to about 35 grams a day. And this is what's really amazing. I never knew this till even though I've been a nutritionist for all these years, that there's really a lot of protein in foods that you never would have guessed. Spinach is high in protein. Kale is high in protein. Broccoli is high in protein. And of course, if you really want to go for, I'm really worried about protein, avocados, nuts and seeds, durian fruit, sprouted beans, durian. But again, it's our country has so much protein that really we have diseases of too much protein consumption. Protein is a direct link to osteoporosis, heart disease, and cancer by overdoing it. And look at the animals, that we honor for their strength, like the strong horse and the strong ox and these animals, they're vegetarians. What do you think would happen if you fed a gorilla, hamburgers and donuts and coffee for a week? It really wouldn't work. And so that is a culture that has eaten nothing but raw foods for generation after generation. Look at the animals that have their strength despite being vegetarian, or actually because they're vegetarian and eating freshly picked food.
But as far as quantity, I think, Graham used to say, I'm going to put you, as I eat a lot, and that's my concern. I'm going to put a feed bag around your neck so I can always have food. And that's my concern personally, like how much, 5 meals a day usually kind of.
Okay. And if you're doing smoothies, make your smoothies with unpasteurized juices, like fresh pressed. Okay.
Yeah, coconut milk.
Okay. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
I love that.
Which is not milk, it's the meat milk. I just learned that.
Well, my husband is very slender, and he's actually put on a little weight doing this.
Really?
Yeah, I've lost weight, and I wanted to, and he's actually looks so good to me. But it is true. Some people might initially lose weight, and then they build back a better quality of flesh.
Does he eat all day though?
No, he really doesn't. He's finding he's satisfied. So when you're eating cooked food, because the vitamins are now deficient and the amino acids are coagulated, you really don't ever feel satisfied, so you need to keep eating. And, I work with, again, like I said, a lot of people that have eating disorders, and very often, they're binge eating because what they're eating isn't really giving them what they need. So I'm actually finding that my husband's really happy to I'm really not hungry, and we might eat a late lunch at 3 in the afternoon and split an orange or an apple later on sometime in the evening, and that's really it. So, but I snack probably more than he does, and I do eat Brazil nuts for a snack, or eat a piece of fruit. But I think when you're eating it so fresh and vital, it's more satisfying. And when I travel, I'll bring some nuts with me and bring some dried fruit and soak it. And it also makes the traveling a little bit adventurous, because I'm going to look for the health food store, the farmer's market, and so forth. And that makes it part of the adventure. But it's, again, you save a lot of money on restaurants. When I think of going out to lunch twice a week and out to dinner once a week, what we used to spend just to maintain our sanity, now that money can be spent on buying better produce and supporting organics and going to more movies. And so I'm kind of glad for that. Now, there are times when I do go to a restaurant, and I usually order a big salad with guacamole on it instead of the salad dressing, and that seems to be very satisfying.
What do you drink? What about water?
I drink water. We do drink coconut water. Sometimes my husband so graciously opens them up with a saw, and that's very delicious. I do sometimes. I don't drink lots of juices, but I do like wheatgrass juice and diluted vegetable juices and
All cold? All cold?
no, room temperature. Yeah, I try not.
Nothing more, no teas.
I do drink teas, and I know some raw foodists don't drink teas, but because my background is in herbs and I grow a lot of wonderful herbs, a lot of nettles and raspberry leaf, I find that tea is a nice companion. I'm sitting at the computer, I'm writing all day, I'll drink tea. I also sometimes make sun teas where I warm the tea in the sun. But in the winter, if that's the worst thing I'm doing is, boiling some water. Actually, I like barely boil it, so I still have a stove. But I've also found in the summertime, a lot of the things that I make tea out of, I'm likely to make into a juice. So I'll make nettle juice. But this time of year, I still drink teas, and I don't see any problem with that. It doesn't seem to affect my consciousness in any adverse way. So your questions are great, and that's what I'd like to just keep doing. Yes?
I have one about sprouting.
Okay.
I don't know anything about sprouting. How do you miniature start sprouting?
Well, I have bought all kinds of fancy sprouting boxes, and I even bought like a big sprout machine that waters the sprouts continuously. And my finding is it just doesn't need to be that high tech. That your best bet is to get a glass ball jar and some lids that have holes in them, some plastic lids, or a metal lid that has mesh in it. And it's really easy. This book, Raw, has directions on sprouting. The Raw Gourmet, which they carry out in the co-op book section, has directions for sprouting. I'm sure if you look up sprouting on the internet, there's directions. But it really doesn't need to be high tech, and I've really gotten rid of all the little machines and gadgets, and it's really just using the jar method. What I like about sprouting is it's a great way to have very fresh produce in the winter time. So I don't bother with sprouting as much in the summer, because then I'm eating a lot of wild plants, dandelion greens and nettles, which you can eat raw, by the way, if they're marinated or juiced or pureed in some way. Malva, so I love the wild plants. Another thing I love to sprout is in a tray of dirt, in a stainless steel tray with about half an inch, just a bare half inch of organic potting soil. You can soak sunflower seeds in the hull overnight and then scatter them on the tray. And it's a wonderful thing if you have children, let your children take charge of the sprouts. It's indoor gardening. It puts oxygen into your home environment. And I love the idea. I'll actually go stand by the sprout tray and just eat the sunflower greens. The other thing that's really nice to sprout is buckwheat lettuce. They're little black buckwheat seeds. And that makes a really nice grass as well. So it's great fun, and it's so easy to do. And does it take long? This is so easy. Yesterday for my class, I made almond milk, and by the time I had served everyone the almond milk, I said it would have taken me longer to go to the co-op and buy a container of almond milk in an aseptic package than just to make it right here. And you see how easy and delicious it is, and we all are drinking it already before I would have even been through the line. So again, all those aseptic packaging, by supporting Raw, we use a lot less packaging. About the only things I use in a package now are olive oil and maybe namashoyu, which is an unpasteurized tamari, maybe unpasteurized miso, but there's really not that much trash, and almost everything else can be composted or given back to the earth. Fruit peels, I tend to just bury them and cover some leaves over them, and you're giving something back to the earth and giving a lot less pollution to the planet. Yeah. Yes?